Hey everyone, Wyatt Claypool here, back yet again to talk about our favorite pseudo-intellectual leftist TikTok sensation, Steve Boots, who is here today to convince us all that Pierre Poilievre isn't just somebody that Steve disagrees with on public policy. Pierre Poilievre is secretly a racist, and all of you know it because Pierre Poilievre is dog whistling to you every single day with crypto-Nazi rhetoric that we're all pretending that we don't hear, but we totally hear it. This is something that that Steve actually made. I'm not trying to exaggerate what his claims are. He's actually saying that Poilievre is racist because Poilievre wants to manufacture things in Canada. If you guys want, you can follow the guy on X here. His is at Steve_Boots. You know, always give the people we talk about on this show a plug. But I'll let Steve Boots have the floor and just convince us all of the rock solid case that Poilievre, a man married to a lady from Venezuela, is secretly very anti-white or something.
I want to take a second to highlight this absolutely terrifying post from Pierre Poilievre, because this
terrifying. Immediately, this is terrifying, guys. This post he's about to read is going to scare the bejesus out of you.
This is nuts. This is just straight up fascist propaganda. We will make things here again. Our workers on our soil under our flag. This is what it means to bring it home. He's got a photo of himself surrounded by applauding onlookers in front of a flag. And if that soil thing sounds vaguely familiar, it's because it is. Blood and soil was a major slogan in Nazi Germany.
Well, guys, wait. Pierre Poilievre's a Nazi. I didn't see it up until this point because Pierre Poilievre said the word soil in a social media post. Now Steve here, who considers himself somebody who seeks out the truth, he said this in his videos that he just happens to criticize conservatives more than the NDP and the Liberals because he cares about the truth and the conservatives hate the truth. And now he is in a video. Apparently he needs to take off the beanie and get some air to his head. But in this video, he is arguing that because Poilievre used the word soil, he is trying to invoke blood and soil rhetoric from Nazi Germany. Apparently, every gardener is a Nazi because they sometimes talk about soil. But I guess I'll let Steve Boots keep trying to make his point here.
This is some terrifying dog whistle stuff. Like, if you see somebody posting things talking about our workers on our soil under our flag, and that doesn't send off every fascist alarm bell you have in your head, you need to be paying closer attention.
Steve just needs to be taking more of his crazy pills because he is seeing things that are not there. That's the whole kind of intellectual dishonesty of the claim of dog whistles. A dog whistle obviously is something that the human ear cannot actually hear, but dogs hear it. And he is saying that Poilievre is saying this stuff about workers and soil because he is trying to dog whistle to those in the audience who know he's talking about fighting for white people and against minorities. No, it's just not. That would probably just be the best way of summing this up. Steve's wrong, and he's too much of a snarky dweeb in order to actually see that he can say things that aren't correct. He's like this. He's the perfect encapsulation of this joke I sometimes repeat to people, not online, but the idea of that, how could I be wrong? I'm me. I don't think that Steve believes that he can ever be wrong, so he can say things this absurd and actually think that there is a real point being made.
Literally putting new spins on Nazi slogans. Like, if you see this and you are willing to overlook it, I can't help you. He is making it very clear who he is and what he's about. Sending very clear signals to his base.
Yeah, guys, are you guys feeling signaled right now? Are you guys gonna start putting on your swastika armbands and march in the street with torches because Poilievre said stuff about workers and soil and manufacturing in Canada? Something that's a real problem in Canada right now. Our economy is so overtaxed, overregulated. It has a lot. It's provincial and federal and municipal. It's all those jurisdictions that have problems. And we are losing manufacturing jobs left, right, and center. Because Poilievre wants to create an environment where manufacturing jobs will come back to Canada without having to impose tariffs because he's a conservative and doesn't believe in the government forcing you to manufacture from Canada with like economic penalties on bringing products back in if you don't. That means that he is a Nazi. It doesn't mean anything. Steve's histrionic. Steve doesn't know how to regulate his own emotions. But I want to jump over now to another video that Steve made following up against people making fun of him for this absurd claim, pointing out that isn't it Trudeau that was the one who wore blackface? Like, if you're gonna claim somebody's racist, and I don't even think Trudeau's racist, I think Trudeau's stupid. You know, like, he's very much birds of a feather with Steve. He's just dumb, and that's why he did the blackface stuff. Because Justin Trudeau is an idiot, and he did something to be shocking one time when he was a high school teacher and when he was a high school student. But now Steve is going to, after making the claim that Poilievre is a Nazi over nothing, he is now going to belittle people, pointing out that, hey, didn't Justin Trudeau literally do blackface? So here's Steve now responding to the rightful criticism he's getting.
So this person saw Pierre Poilievre doing a blood and soil thing.
He didn't do a blood and soil thing. What?
And dismissed it out of hand because Justin Trudeau has painted his face black in the past. Couple of things. For starters, the blackface thing happened in the 90s. Like, I'm not saying it was okay, but I am saying it was 30 years ago. If you don't think...
Dude, I don't think that Steve would let Pierre Poilievre off the hook if a relative of Pierre Poilievre 5 decades ago did something. If 5 generations ago a member of the Poilievre family had done something horrible, I guarantee Steve would be out here making a video saying, Pierre Poilievre is doing things in line with his ancestors, and you find something terrible they did and connect it to something that innocuous that Pierre did. The man does not have the ability to be intellectually consistent, because again, like he has stated in other videos, he just hates conservatives.
I think that a person can change in any meaningful way over the span of 30 years. I can't help you. Like, he's not doing it today. He's openly said that he regrets it. It was wrong. What else do you want? What else would you have him do? Or is it just permanently disqualifying? Because that's ridiculous.
Sorry, but what would Steve have Poilievre do to make up for his blood and soil comments, apparently? Because Poilievre hasn't done anything. How do you make up for a dog whistle because it's something that wasn't actually done? It was done between the lines. Something that Steve can't prove, but he wants to hang Poilievre over because apparently in Steve's, again, diseased mind, he can see that Poilievre is secretly trying to signal to his brown shirt base, but Trudeau actually doing something because it's 30 years ago no longer matters. And I actually agree. I don't think the Trudeau blackface thing really matters, past the fact that if Trudeau had found a conservative politician doing the same thing, he wouldn't let it go. The whole point is holding Trudeau to his own standard. Steve doesn't actually care if Trudeau is held to his own standard, because Steve has no standards himself. His standard is hoping that, conservatives lose.
If we're going to eliminate somebody from public life because of a mistake they made in their youth, then we have much more to do. Like, Scott Moe killed someone. Doug Ford was a hash dealer. 2/3 of the Sass Party caucus have drunk driving convictions. None of those are disqualifying in your mind, but Justin Trudeau makes a mistake in the 90s, and he's just out. I'm not defending it. It's not okay.
No. You're the one pivoting here. Steve is the one pivoting. He makes a ridiculous claim. Somebody says, you have this ridiculous claim with zero evidence. Here's something that actually happened. And then Steve's like, other things with other politicians have actually happened in the past too. Okay, well, this hasn't made up for the original sin of claiming someone's a racist over quite literally nothing. Here's him responding to yet another person, and he is going to, again, trying to dismiss this rightful criticism of Steve's terrible point by basically just saying, well, so you don't care that Poilievre's a secret crypto fascist here?
So when we talk about how conservatives are being weird, this is what we're talking about. Like, this person saw a blood and soil post from Pierre Poilievre, and
no, you saw it somehow. Apparently, you're the one Poilievre's dog whistling to, because Steve's the only person on this planet who thought using the word soil is a direct reference to, in the 1930s and 40s, Nazis using blood and soil rhetoric.
Immediately freaked out about Justin Trudeau. Like, do you think this is a reasonable response to something Pierre Poilievre said? To talk about blackface? Like, if you actually thought that him wearing blackface was traumatizing to black people, why would you bring it up constantly? And you're implying that he has COVID? Like, do you think COVID's funny? You rooting for people to get sick? I also appreciate that they started counting my posts. I make a dozen posts a day, man. I post about whatever's going on. Pierre Poilievre.
No, you actually, in fact, post about stuff that's not even going on in the case of, again, the stupid blood and soil claim. That, and the person's pointing out that in terms of the Trudeau and hiding thing, that for some reason, I guess there's no news about Justin Trudeau. Why aren't you talking about Justin Trudeau? Because there's actually a lot going on about Justin Trudeau right now. I don't think he has to talk about Justin Trudeau. Steve should just be intellectually honest and say, I am a leftist and I cover the news from a leftist perspective. So naturally, he doesn't want to talk about things that Trudeau and Jagmeet are doing because he doesn't want to actually critique the flaws in their policy, or he, just thinks whatever they're doing is fantastic. That's why he won't cover it. I hate this fake like truth teller kind of bit people do. Guys, guess what? I am a conservative commentator, not paid by the Conservative Party. I just do my own thing. I talk about conservative politics and politics from a conservative perspective for a reason. I don't cover things that conservatives do as much because it tends to just be conservatives pushing a policy I agree with. There's no real video for me to make out of that. What am I going to do 10 minutes on the fact that me and, Arnold Viersen agree on something, that me and Michelle Ferreri agree on something, Leslie Lewis, any of these other people? I will sometimes talk about them if they're doing something that becomes controversial, because something being controversial means there's something to talk about. Or if they're challenging a liberal on something and they make a good point, every once in a while, a conservative will bring out a good policy and I'll talk about that because it's actually worth discussing. So around parental rights content, I talked about it a lot because it was good policy, it was new, and something worth discussing. I don't need to make videos on why I believe in low taxes. You and I already know why we believe in low taxes, so it's not worthwhile. But Steve puts on this mask of, well, no, I'm just talking about whatever's newsworthy. No, you're not. You're talking about whatever you can jab conservatives over. It's not the same at all. Just be honest, and then I can make fun of you less. But anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. If you live in British Columbia, I'm just going to give you guys a reminder. Make sure to donate $100 to the BC Conservative Party at least. You get a 75% tax credit, which means it only costs you $25 to donate to the provincial Conservative Party $100. I have a link to the local campaign I'm helping out here in Abbotsford South. We need to make sure we actually fundraise enough to be able to beat the BC NDP. We have the polling momentum. We are winning on the issues in terms of the side that most British Columbians is on the BC Conservative side. All we need at this point is money. The NDP and United have a big money advantage. United's completely irrelevant, but because of BC law, they get $1.50, around $1.50 per vote they got in the last election, given to them every single year. Same thing with the BC NDP, and they even got 33% of their campaign expenses from the 2020 campaign immediately handed over to them. The Conservatives only got 2% in the last provincial election because it was not really a party up until the last year and a half. It was just a small collection of people keeping the name alive, but there was no momentum behind it. They didn't field candidates very often. But now we're in a situation where people like us, but we don't have any money compared to the NDP. So make sure you donate $100 so that we can actually get this ship, cruising forward and being able to win the election. And then if you're not in BC, you can donate to my legal fund. It's the Give, Send, Go link in the description below as well. And other than that, I'm going to leave you guys, I don't know, with nothing. The video is about to end, I guess. I don't really plan out how the ends of these videos are going to go, but if you're still here, comment below if you guys have anything else you want me to talk about, or if you're on X or Twitter, you guys can DM me clips from other leftist TikTokers you want me to talk about, because I find it interesting to see a leftist making an argument and then actually being able to respond to it point for point and explain why it's wrong. I think oftentimes people assume that if you actually see the left's positions, they're going to be more rigorous than you thought. But whenever you look at these people and the way that they argue, you actually find out they have no arguments. There's some people who are good at being so pseudo-intellectual, you think that they might have a point. But I feel like people like Steve Boots and Frank Dominic prove, no, they really don't. It's just opposition to things like the concept of capitalism, to traditional family values and whatnot. They just simply oppose conservative ideals fully. No real reason, they just hate them. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. Have a good one.